So let's do some reminiscence with a quiz. So here we are, we're coming towards the end of April, and on this week in history in 1968, the very first decimal coins were being issued in Great Britain. Do you remember when decimalisation first came in? So the first 5 and 10 new pence pieces were being introduced into circulation. So what coins did the 5 and 10 pence pieces replace? Can you remember? What coins did the 5 and 10 pence pieces replace? Well, it was the 1 and 2 shilling pieces. The 2 coins pictured here have got different monarchs on them. Do you recognise them? So the 1 shilling coin has George V on it, that's the current Queen's grandfather, and the 2 shilling coin has the face of George VI, the Queen's father. So what year did full decimalisation come in Great Britain? So they started to introduce some new coins a few years beforehand, but what year did the full changeover finally take place? Was it A, 1971, B, 1981, or C, 1961? What do you think? Is it A, B, or C? Well, the correct answer is A. It was 1971. So Monday, the 15th of February, 1971 was Decimal Day in Britain. So the old money with the pound, shilling and pence was replaced by a new system with 100 pence in the pound and no shillings at all. So how many shillings did there used to be in a pound? Was it A, 15, B, 20, or C, 25? How many shillings were there in a pound? Was it 15, 20 or 25? Well, the correct answer is B, 20. There were 20 shillings in the pound. So each pound was made up of 20 shillings and each shilling was made up of 12 pence. So there's a total of 240 pence in the pound. So on to question 4. Do you remember the old threepenny bit? How many sides do you think that an old threepenny bit had? How many sides were there on this coin? Was it A, 10, B, 12, or C, 14? What do you think? The number of sides on an old threepenny bit, is it 10, 12, or 14? Well, the correct answer is B, 12. It had 12 sides. So the threepenny bit was worth 3 pence or a quarter of a shilling, and they kept minting it right up until 1970. So Isaac Newton, the famous physicist and mathematician, was in charge of the Royal Mint in 1696. What was he responsible for introducing? What do you think that Isaac Newton first introduced when he was in charge of the Royal Mint? Was it A, having the monarch's face on all the coins, or B, the move towards the gold standard? What do you think? Was it having the face of the monarch on the coins or the move towards the gold standard? Well, the correct answer was B. It was the move towards the gold standard. Now, the gold standard is a monetary system where a country's currency has a value that is directly linked to gold. It was a really popular system in the 19th century and the early 20th century in the Western world, but not so many countries use it today. So now we're going to look at some questions about money from some other countries. We're going to go first of all to Russia. Now, the Russian ruble is made up of 100 what? There are 100 whats in a ruble. Is it A, bekas, B, zloty, or C, kopecks? What do you think? Was there 100 bekas in a ruble, zloty, or kopecks? Well, the correct answer is C, it's kopecks. There's 100 kopecks in a ruble. So the Russian ruble was the first European decimal currency, and that dates right back to 1704, although China has been using a decimal system for at least 2,000 years. So question 7. What currency is shared by Austria, Finland, France and Portugal? What currency do Austria, Finland, France and Portugal all use? Is it A, the pound, B, the dollar, or C, the euro? What do you think? Is it the pound, the dollar, or the euro? Well, the correct answer is C, it's the euro. Now, the euro became the new single currency of the European Monetary Union on the 1st of January back in 1999. And 11 European nations adopted it straight away, and there's now 25 countries who use it. So finally we come to question 8. What was the biggest denomination of bill that was ever printed in America? What do you think the largest sum of money ever printed on one note in America was? Was it A, a $5,000 bill note, or B, $100,000, or C, $1 million? What do you think? The largest value of any note printed in America. Is it $5,000, $100,000, or $1 million? Well, the correct answer is B. It was $100,000. Now, currently, the highest note in regular production in America is the $100 bill. But in the past, they've regularly produced $1,000 bill notes, and these were only finally recalled and taken out of circulation in 1969. So how many questions did you get right? So to go back to the beginning, the 5 and 10 pence pieces replaced the 1 and 2 shilling coins. Britain became fully decimalised in 1971. There were 20 shillings in a pound. There was 12 sides in an old threepenny bit. It was Isaac Newton who was responsible for moving the British monetary system towards the gold standard. There's 100 kopecks in a ruble. Austria, Finland, France and Portugal are all countries that use the euro. And the biggest denomination of note ever printed in America was a $100,000 bill. So I hope you enjoyed taking part in this quiz, which was based on the beginnings of decimalisation in Britain back in 1971.